we're gonna just go ahead and take this and let this be what it is. But just to give you a little bit of background, I am a pastor and a musician. I started playing when I was 16, so basically uh, 35 years ago now. Uh, yeah, about 35 years ago now. Started playing organ for a church and wanted to learn how to play musician. Inspired by back then, it Hezekiah Walker just come out with uh, "I'll Make It" CD. It definitely inspired by that. Not to say that I had been playing since fourth grade. I started playing clarinet. Fourth grade, fifth grade, I started playing saxophone. In in high school, ninth grade, I switched over, or tenth grade was it? Ninth or tenth grade, I switched over to playing keys in jazz band and things like that. But always played organ. Always loved organ. My mother was an organist, her church organist when she first started playing. And so I've always been interested in Hammond organ. So I'm not a keyboardist. I'm not big on keyboards, but just simply love the organ. But every now and then, of course, you need that keyboard sound. I played some keyboard, had a couple of keyboards. My first keyboard was a Juno 60, which I still have today. Still have that same Juno 60 today. Still a wonderful workhorse keyboard, but I never was into big on buying keyboards and all the new latest keyboards. I remember when the Triton came out. I remember when the first MOTIF came out. I remember when the Roland D50. Remember when the Roland D50 came out. Uh, my brother had some of the what was that? Shoot, was it the Alesis VFX? I forget what keyboard that was. I did have a cord. I did have a cord keyboard, but usually it was by the time I got it, it was so old until it was just like whatever. Nobody really cared about it. So this is one of my first, and this I was being an organist. I just loved organ. I got a Hammond organ in my uh, full size Hammond organ in my living room right now. And then another C2 at the church right now, BC in my living room and a C2 at the church. So big on organ, not really big on keys, but every now and then I've hired an organist and had to do some auxiliary keys. So that's kind of a background and history of where I am. So never was a big production, never was a big production keyboardist, anything like that. Never to the status of some of these organ greats that I know and we've seen around, uh, like Stephen Ford per se, or Glenn Gibson, or Corey Henry. I love all of these guys, um, but never was to that kind of major status. Always had some musicians, organists I uh, idolized, that kind of, or looked up to, I should say. Ezekiel Williams, Stanley Edwards, just great organist. Um, Michael Ross, definitely great organist, but never was big on keyboards. So I always wanted some keyboard sounds, but to me, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time to spend that money, spending $2,000 to $3,000 on a keyboard. I wasn't really into programming and all of that, and not a studio musician at all whatsoever. So I wanted something that had the fat sounds, the great sound, without spending those big bucks. Eventually, I got into talk to the music store. Music store turned me on to, hey, get you a MIDI keyboard and get some plugins or get some software. Just buy the software. Some of that software was really expensive too. So I did invest in one first MIDI keyboard a couple of years ago. Bought me a little Samson 49 key keyboard, and it was great. And got me a Trillion, which is a bunch of bass patches. Excellent software. A bunch of bass patches. All that was bass. Uh, Heard somebody playing at an outdoor service during COVID in 20. I want to say it was this. Yeah, it was this summer in 2021, the summer of 2021. I was like, dude, those are some fat sounds. What is it? He was like, dude, it's MK Sensation. You got to get it. So when he told me about that MK Sensation, I was like, oh, yeah, I got to find it. I looked for it, looked it up. It was like $200 to get it. It's like, this is unreal. But I'm going to go ahead and try it out. Got it, tried it out, and thought, my God, this is incredible. So let me just kind of show you, after I've taken 5 minutes, let me kind of show you what we're looking at here. Here's in MK Sensation. Here, let me see if I can get the whole thing on the screen right now. I'm kind of pretty much broadcasting from our church page. Um, but that's everything on here. The beautiful part about this is it's not just sounds on here, but they set it up in a way. This whole software program is geared towards church musicians, which pretty much essentially is what I am. And with that being totally geared towards church musicians, it gives you the sounds that you were looking for on like some of those recordings and things like that. Um, that you heard in the past, and some of it is added. You got little more added to it, make it a little stronger, a little fatter. But not only that, a lot of those sounds that you're hearing on those patches are layered sounds. It's not just one sound. It's like one or two different instruments layered together. Well, this guy is so into what he does, who created this. He could pretty much hear these different sounds. It's like, oh yeah, that's that and this and this, and knows how to put it together. And he did just that. I think he said it took him something like 8 years, and you could probably find some videos on it. It took him like 8 years to kind of come up to get this thing together like it is right now. But it is so amazing, so dope. Of course, this is one of my first lives to do on anything like this. So when I saw this, I had to put it out here. Um, but again, it's not just sounds. What it is it's layers of sound. So each patch or each live set or each section has up to 8 layered sounds in there. Uh, some of the dope sounds, and then it has what's called the live set, which I have mine on right now, which is the live set. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to. Hopefully, you're gonna be able to hear this like I want you to hear it. Um, but it has live sets. So like I have mine set up right now, and you'll go in and you'll create your live sets how you want your live sets to be. And I picked some of the different sounds out of it. Here's the first one. I love this patch right here, and I'm going to go to it. It's called Anointed Bell Split. I am playing with a sustain pedal. Um, and of course, I'm getting some kind of interruption right now, probably because I have so many different, trying to run so many different things at the same time. But let me see if I can close some stuff out and get it sounding like it needs to sound. Uh, yeah, that was the Anointed Bells. Here's here's another one. I'm gonna just kind of jump in real quick, see if I can get the next one up, called Stack CP 770. And here's some of the dope things. So another thing he did, he just didn't get sounds from like a Motif, a Yamaha, or from a Korg, or from a Roland, a Casio. He found the best sounds in Casio, Roland, Motif, kind of smashed them all together. So you don't have to go looking for sounds and things like that. He does it. He has all of them kind of stacked together. Listen, I didn't even make any adjustments to this. I did upgrade my keyboard a little bit to the Novation Launch Key 61, so it gave me a little bit more key width, key band, bandwidth to operate, and it does have the faders on it. So I have my faders where I can adjust some of the patches right in there. So when I click on one, I've got, if you can see it, I've got one in this particular patch. It's got one, two, three, four. Well, it's actually got eight different patches on there. If you're playing how it came, how it was set up, it's got four already selected. If I just wanted to hear from one, which is one sound, which is called D'Angelo CP 70, I can just click on the little green button, and what it's going to do is solo it now. So now I've only got one patch solo instead of the layers. Or let me go back here and just click on warmer. So that's what you're kind of hearing on underneath there. If I take this out, now I have all four of those. If I just wanted to mute that warmer, I'd hit that red. So I get all the other three that are highlighted, just not that warmer. Here's the other thing. It's some other ones that are not even lit up here, but I can click on to say I want to add this sound, which is looks like EP28 chorus. So now I got, and you can kind of hear that difference with that coming in. I want to take that out altogether and not even have that as an option. Now I've removed it. Here's another one just to kind of let you listen to some sounds. This one is called Judy MC's Worship Stack, which, of course, if you're a gospel musician, your mind goes to Judith McAllister. So dope, so so full, so rich, but that gives you that sound. Here's one that's called Perfect Shout. And you know what? Before I leave that Judy MC's or Judy Max, let me let you know that it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different patches on there. 2 of them were actually muted. I'm gonna unmute those. So it kind of gives you a different sound. When I take the mute off of those 2, I'm gonna put those mutes back on. If I just wanted, let me say I just wanted the strings off of here, anointed string. There we go. We just got the strings. That's how I soloed the strings with that little green light. I'll turn that on. Let me go to this Perfect Shout before I run out of too much time here. So it's got a little shout. So also it gives you the ability to not only do that, but you can also add plugins. And this one, my home church, where some of the sounds that we kind of created came from our location at 12th and Stockton in Richmond, Virginia. So let me see if I can go there right quick. So I've created he already has some layer sounds, just didn't need to touch it. But what I did want to do was I wanted to add the Trillion bass one of my Trillion bass patches in there from my Trillion. And I did that with a plugin, so you can add your own plugin. I put that plugin in number 6. So he had it, but I wanted to add a bass to it. I wanted to add a slap bass to it. So what you hear is a split, and let me let you kind of see how that split is set up too, which is crazy simple, but it's set up. You can see now the patches and the sounds. Number 6 is my Trillion bass, and that's how that split is set up. If you wanted to go to split, you just click on split. It's that simple. If you want to go back to your live set, you go back to your live set right here. So I wanted to be able to run that little bass line. So yeah, I got that little bass line running there. So that was just simply adding in a plugin. Then I went through, because it wasn't his original sound, I saved it to what sound I wanted it to, how I wanted it to be set up. I just did that on two different sets right here. I did that on the 12th in Stockton. Now this one I just modified a little bit. It was all the sounds that were in there, but I think this one didn't really have an organ in there, and I wanted that organ in there, so that's why I changed the name of it. But here's the organ, so just in case I wanted the organ, and I'll solo the organ for you. I'll solo the organ for you. Take the solo off the organ. Yeah, so that's the sound that I wanted off that one. But really dope setup. Once you add your keyboard, it's real simple. Only thing you really got to do is go into MIDI source, select the MIDI source that's already plugged in. As soon as you plug your keyboard in, it'll recognize it. You do have some other things in there in the settings with the tuning. Some other little moments where you keep in your sample folders, and you can designate that. Couple other little things where you're listening or your output and things like that. MIDI channel setup. You can actually set it up where you got another MIDI keyboard. Say you want to use one just for soloing, things like that. Like a little small 49 or 25 keyboard, something like that. You could use that. Have one of those set up where you could just use it for your soloing. Put that MIDI selection in there. Just a couple of other little options in here, but I love the live set. Of course, you got anything that you're looking for, but that transpose and the octave moment right there is right there. If you want to change the sounds, okay, so I want to leave it where it is in this one, and let's go to edit. So all of this, you have different gains and things like that on each in octave, what your octave is on each particular sound. So if I was on that organ sound, which is number 6, I pretty much click on 6. It'd tell me right up here that I'm on the gospel organ. If I needed to change the octave on that organ, I could do so right there. And any other little special features that I wanted to pull in or pull out, I could pull it in right there. If I wanted to put this organ just on a separate MIDI channel, I could do that right there. uh, LFOs, all of those moments on that particular sound uh, right here. I can control that. I mean, it's very easy to get to. Like, I'm not a big keyboard dude, so I will some of that stuff. I would try to get to that stuff quickly on like a motif. I would totally be lost. On a Phantom, for me, I would totally be lost, and it would take me a crazy amount of time to find it. I could find this on the fly while I'm in service in the middle of a song. Like I can get to this that quick, and that's kind of the thing I like about it. Also, so while I'm in this sound, if I just want to turn 6 down, I got that option right here to turn it down. If it's too strong, too loud, I can turn that down. Say I wanted to turn this brass down. That's on 4. I got control over that right there. That lead on number 2. That sounds like a little out of tune, detuned, which is so dope. I always say every choir needs somebody out of tune and in choir to give that choir the full sound. You don't have a good choir unless you got 1 or 2 people in there singing out of tune, off key. That's they're in there to strengthen that choir to get that mix. But they have these voices are already set up in here to give you that sound that you're looking for, that fullness that you're looking for, and that sizzle. I would take the sizzle. It's called super sizzle. Move that sizzle out. But yeah, so dope. All the sounds that are in here. On number 8, we got fat brass. Let me solo that fat brass right quick just so somebody can hear it. Oh, fat bass. That's a. So that's actually obviously set up in the split too. Those last 2 are in that split. So dope, so dope. And you can see clearly where that split is. If I needed to change the split point, I could change the split point on just that one. Take it up to C. I'll move back to C3. That's where it came from, but I can move it anywhere I want to. If I wanted to change it on 2, kind of hold, I think it's hold down the shift. Yeah, hold down the shift, and then you can move the 2, C3, move back to C3. Hold down the shift. Oh. And select all of these, and then I can change the split point on all of those. So dope, so easy. Just crazy. That's crazy easy on that. Deselect them. I'm just clicking each one. But yeah, changing that split point just so easy, so user friendly. Like you just really don't have to think. Now I did go in and lock the master control and those 8 sliders. So each time I plugged it in, I wouldn't have to go back and lock it. So those sliders are controlled by my Novation launch key keyboard, and I think this Novation keyboard to cost me. Actually, I think I bought it used. I bought it used at Guitar Center for like $179. Love working with it with this particular software. Great software. I did have Ableton. That's another reason I had bought able to live. Of course, that works for live sets too. Great software to work with live sets. But this software, MK Sensation Extreme, MK Sensation Extreme, or MK Sensation 2, version 2.08, is just a great software. Listen, these guys at Gospel Musicians did a great job, with this. So I just wanted to get on, let some people know about it, tell some people about it, how like exceptionally well this thing was put together. Just makes a whole ton of sense. Uh, uh, and listen, go check them out. Go check them out. Go check them out.